Hello and welcome to AWS On Air and welcome to the NYC Summit. I am your host, Kyle Lee. Uh, I am a developer advocate on the AWS Amplify team, and I am joined here with my colleague, my team member, Michael. Michael, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Michael Leando back again. It's great to be here. It's great to be on these sessions. Typically, you and I were on Amplify with Friends. For those who want to check us out, check us on over there. But this time, AWS On Air, I am also a senior developer advocate, whereas Kyle works on some of the mobile stuff. I work on the front end JavaScript stuff. So you can typically find us doing our thing and just hanging out, goofing around. Again, it's fun
Yep.
to be here.
It's always a good time whenever we're together, I think. Always a good
Definitely.
time. But so Michael, tell us a little bit about why you're here. There's something about AppSync, but a lot of people may not even be familiar with AppSync. So tell us a little bit about what AppSync is, and then like what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a treat in store for everyone. I've been working on this project. It didn't take me too long to put together, but it directly involves the use of AppSync. And as you said, Kyle, some folks may not be used to that or familiar with that term. So let's back this up a little bit. AWS AppSync is a managed GraphQL service. Now, what that means is we take a schema first approach where within the context of Amplify, you declare your schema and we automatically create all the resolvers, make all those connection points, and even do some really cool and interesting things in Amplify where we can automatically connect a data source such as DynamoDB, Lambda functions, etc. And we take it to the next level because we're in an Amplify app after all, right? So we can add in authorization and various rules. So that way you have a safe and guarded API that scales day one to production use. And as soon as you push that up to the cloud, it is all ready to go.
Got it, got it. So a little bit more about if you could tell us a little bit more about GraphQL for anybody that may not also be familiar is so a lot of people might be familiar with REST APIs, right? You send up, maybe a multi-part form data request, or you hit a specific URL and then you get some data back. But GraphQL is a little bit different, and that's primarily what AppSync is using, right? So how a little bit on how that works.
Yeah, definitely. So GraphQL is really aimed to solve that whole notion of overfetching and underfetching. So, like myself, I started off in REST, building out my APIs. And as those endpoints grew, I generally had to find myself making either subsequent calls because I got too little, or you have one API endpoint that gives you everything that you asked for, but you really only needed a couple of those fields. Along came GraphQL, and it takes a schema approach. So, alluding to that earlier, what that means is you can just declare what it is that you want. In this example that we have later on in this show, I have a bunch of products. So, that is a type of data. And I literally just say type product. From there, I declare my fields. And if you're used to a strongly typed language like TypeScript or Java, I think Kotlin maybe,
Yeah.
uh, then you can go ahead and say, here's a product. It has a name, which would be of type string. It can have a description of type string, a price, presumably, that could be represented as an integer, etc. Using those scalar types, you really build that out. And one of the huge benefits that our customers love when they use GraphQL is that now you have this one place where you don't have to be a programmer, you don't have to be an engineer. Uh, Product engineer or product managers, marketing folks, they can look at that schema and understand what are the pieces of data flowing throughout the application. It's a really compelling option.
Yeah, and I know that when I found out about GraphQL, I was like kind of blown away. I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I can create essentially different APIs on the fly by hitting the same endpoint and just asking for different types of data. And I was like just blown away by that fact. So
Yeah, having it puts the client in control, right? Front ends are now empowered to say, back end team, you can go ahead and build it out. You can create all of the various pieces of data. But on the front end, I can just say, here is what I want from that.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is what makes Amplify so user friendly for us front end and mobile developers, right? Is it gives us the power to say, look, this is the information that I need in my app, and I want specifically these fields, so I'm not using up all the client's data, right? Because smaller data, you get more efficient with that, and then you're not wasting the client's data because there may be limits on their data, right? So that's also like one of the coolest things, and then also the ability to just simply spin up different uh services or tables um based off of what you actually need, all from this schema. So really love it.
Yeah, from an API endpoint perspective, it's great. And that by itself is its own amazing package deal. But we take it a step further and we enable subscriptions, which is just another huge benefit that is often very difficult to implement when you use REST service. So we give that to you out of the box with Amplify. We'll generate those subscriptions for you. And these are using those same under the layer WebSocket connections that a lot of folks are used to if you use something like Socket.io. And we just generate all that stuff for you. You don't have to think about it. And that way you can have real-time data flowing through your application.
Yeah. So and Michael kind of touched on this. So subscriptions kind of like WebSockets, right? You're able to receive a flow of data continuously, kind of like a stream of data into your app,
Mhm.
and you can watch things update in real time, which everybody's kind of expecting in their apps nowadays. So yeah, so this is all great, but kind of want to see it in action, right? Like, this is awesome, but I definitely want to see this in action. So we have a demo, right?
Oh, we gotta come with the demo. We gotta come with the
Gotta
demo.
come with the demo. Love to hear that. All right, let's
Yeah.
take a look.
Well, I want to give some context of what we're going to be looking at today. So, on the right hand side, you have a very simple application where you have the ability to sign in and sign out. But then we are going to be working with, as you see on the left hand side, a bunch of product information. Now, this is something that we definitely want to discuss right here because on the right hand side, we have a React web application, but you can share, and as you're building out all of your Amplify services, you can share that. And in this case, I'm sharing it with a React Native application. Same backend, different front ends. That really empowers developers and teams to create things in isolation. So then that way you're not stepping on each other's toes, you have a central team. And the scenario I'm wanting to mimic here is that on the right-hand side, imagine that you have a team of back-end engineers. They're using Amplify, but maybe they're not all that familiar with the front end landscape. So in that case, they create a very simple application. On the left-hand side, it's quite the opposite. They may not be the most familiar with backend services, but that's okay because they're mobile developers. So all they really need to do is not build out the backend, but rather just consume the APIs that are being generated. So a little bit of context of what we see here. In terms of the application itself, we're going to mimic sort of a coffee storefront application. And for that, I'm going to switch over to this tab here. Kyle, let me know if I need to bump this up maybe one more.
I mean, we're looking kind of good. I don't know how much larger we can get the street names, but that's not the focus
Yeah,
here, is it?
not the point. What we're wanting to emphasize is that, excuse me, this is, if you can see my mouse cursor here, this is a college campus, and I went
Got it.
ahead and I'm saying that this black marker right here, this is going to be someone opening up a coffee shop. Okay? Now, traditionally, at least when I order coffee, if I order it on my app, one of two things happen, and they both frustrate me. The first one is that I either order it and they make it right away as soon as I purchase the coffee. So now I'm playing this race, right? I have to get to the coffee shop in time, otherwise my coffee is going to be cold. That's one experience that I've had. The other experience is, well, sometimes you can buy a coffee and they'll give you a ticket number, and that way you give them the ticket as soon as you arrive, and then they make your coffee there. The problem with that experience is it's not much different than just going to the coffee shop and ordering it right there. So there has to be a middle ground, and that's what I want to touch on today in this application. What I did is I'm using a service known as Amazon Location Service. Now, what this does is tie in a bunch of location APIs, and we can bring those into our front end application. Now, one of the great benefits of Amplify is that, well, Amazon Location Service isn't a part of the Amplify CLI or library packages that you might get. But that's okay, because by running the command amplify add custom, you're now empowered to use the Cloud Development Kit, the CDK, to add in any of those additional resources that you might want. And that's what we're taking advantage of today. I went ahead and I created a geofence around this college campus. And if this is my theoretical home, not in real life, um, then I'm going to say I'm going to order the coffee here. And once I enter this geofence, basically anywhere past this street here, once I enter this area, then go ahead and let the storefront know, hey, Michael's close by. Go ahead and have their order pop up on this screen. And that's what we're going to demo today.
Got it. So what we're doing is we're using Amazon Location Service to provide us some map capabilities in setting up a geofence around the college campus. And then
Yeah,
once you're in the vicinity of the college campus, once you get down to that top street, which is Lombard, if your house is at the green marker, then we're going to detect that, hey, Michael's close by. This ticket needs to essentially be sent into the coffee shop system, and now they need to start create or making your coffee then.
exactly. You get the best of both worlds, right? And you get the hot coffee because you're nearby, and then they're making it before you get there, so you don't have to wait in line.
Yeah. I mean, I personally just order iced coffee, but hey,
Oh,
to each their own, I
to,
guess.
to each their own. Um, just for you, I included that over here. We have a
Whew.
simple frappe
Okay, now
for
I can get on board. All right,
for
now
your
this
simple
this app
taste
is
buds.
working for me now. My simple okay. I mean, it's summer and you're ordering hot coffee. I mean, okay.
You got me there. You got me there. So, before we go through the actual flow, I do want to take a look at some of the services that Amplify is using under the hood and what this application looks like for those of you that might be familiar with some of these AWS services. So essentially what we have is this mobile application. Customers have to sign in. We're using Cognito. And then through the use of AppSync and this schema that we created, we have an order and a product table. Product tables are what you see in the mobile application. And in a moment, we'll go through the order flow. This order flow is using Stripe under the hood. So then you have customers with the ability to buy a coffee. And then when that order is complete, Stripe will send off a webhook to call another Lambda function, which is going to update our order status. Now, to facilitate that whole AppSync to GeoFence event flow, we're making use of DynamoDB streams, another feature you can enable within Amplify. And we have that trigger Lambda function to call AppSync. And when we change that AppSync or call that AppSync mutation in saying, hey, a customer is within this GeoFence, then that will automatically get fired off, update the order, and that's when it'll show up on the screen. So let's take a look at the entire flow here.
Okay.
Uh, so Kyle wants to buy this simple frappe. It's $5.49. So we're going to go with that one. I'm going to click on Buy Me here. You can see the payment flow show up. And let's go ahead and order that. If you're familiar with Stripe, we have a bunch of 4.2s going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and populate it just like that. Now, notice that all I did so far was click on Buy. From an analytical perspective, if I refresh, you can see that I do have an order in my DynamoDB table. As of right now, it's just listed as pending. And this is great because if the customer cancels out of their order, I do want to keep track of, well, how many customers are entering the payment flow but not exiting it. So from here, I'm going to select Pay. That order is going to process. And if I check back on that order, just give this a little refresh, we can see that it switched and it should say, yep, the order was processed. Cool. Now the order's processed, but it's not showing up. Now for that, we're going to want to mimic the location changing. So this is using background location. And what I can do is say, I want to go to this location, enter in a custom location. And I apologize if this is a little bit small. But I really want this one right here, this whole exit marker that I have. Now, I know from experience that to simulate this, we have to get down to the full feature set, not the trimmed down one. So I'm going to use these right here. So -90, and then we have this for one.
So right now, Michael's taking this location and he's popping it into the simulator, this iOS iPhone simulator, which is going to then update the location so that it seems as if the device is actually in that location, since we are obviously not moving and we
Right.
are sitting down.
There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and select OK. And in real time, this order should go ahead and pop up for us. There it is. Simple Frappe. And again, these are two separate applications talking to one another.
Mhm.
So this is just based off of the user moving. We have a Simple Frappe coming over. It has the customer's name. If I check my database and refresh this, the order gets switched to arriving, saying, hey, go ahead and make it. And we can take it a step further. And if I click on this, that'll go ahead and clear the order out. And then one more time, we'll go ahead and refresh, and that'll switch it to fulfilled.
Got it. That was pretty cool. And one thing that I really want to point out that you just kind of glossed over, but I thought it was really cool is the fact that the the order came in without you having to refresh this page. So
Yeah,
the website that we're looking at, this React app that we're looking at, which is maybe on the coffee shop's display board or however they have it, it would have came in and we're doing that, I'm assuming, using subscriptions here.
absolutely. One of the huge benefits of working with AppSync is that you get these real-time notifications. And it's really, really easy to set that up within Amplify because of the libraries that we provide.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me a little bit more. So like how complex is setting something like this up?
Not very. When we take a look at a couple of things here, let's take a look at the schema, for example. I mentioned that we have a product and we have an order. Now, using some of the directives that we have within Amplify, if I'm going to create those DynamoDB tables, I simply say add model. And when I want to add in those authorization rules, I want to say something like if you're an admin, which would be presumably the manager in the store, then you can do any CRUD operations on the product. They're your products after all. But if you are a user on the website or you're someone trying to buy the coffee, well, then if you're logged in, private, then you have the ability to read those products. We do the same thing with orders. Now, to facilitate that operation of having a Lambda function call the AppSync API, we support that as well. We can say it is a private endpoint. Uh, this is going to have IAM permissions, and we want it to have the ability to do read and updates. And then down here is where we create that. So now we have the ability to do things like fetching a Stripe URL, um, all sorts of things within our application. And then going back to custom rules, if I take a peek at our CDK stack, which again, Amplify generated for me, I can start editing my own trackers, creating my geofence, making the connections of those together, and then more importantly, creating that event bridge rule, which says specifically, when I enter the geofence, go ahead and have this as my trigger.
Got it. Okay. And I really like the fact that you can like include this or you can use Amplify with CDK and just add it into an existing pipeline, which is also really cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're almost at time, Michael. So is there anything else that we need to let viewers know about Amplify or AppSync and like where should they go to learn more?
Yeah, definitely. What I would say is the Amplified Docs is an excellent resource, as well as the AWS Docs. Both have great tutorials, whether you want to work with AppSync outside of Amplify or within the context of Amplify, they're both going to be great. I myself create a lot of content as well. And then Kyle has amazing content if you want to introduce it from the context of your mobile applications.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Michael, for showing us all about AppSync and showing us how cool Amplify is. If you are more interested in learning about Amplify, make sure you check out our Discord. You can see that link will be available in the chat. And then feel free to reach out to me or Michael. We'll be on there. And if you have any questions or need help, there's a vibrant community that's there waiting to help. So, thank you again for joining us. Both me and Michael really appreciate it. And you stay tuned because there's still so many more sessions that we have available here at NYC Summit.